The if function checks to see if a condition is true or false. If the condition evaluates to true, one thing happens. If the condition evaluates to false, another thing happens. If this is true, do this, else do this. The first argument of the if function is the logical test, which must evaluate to true or false. The second argument is what happens if the logical test evaluates to true. The third argument is what happens if the logical test evaluates to false. Notice the value if false is an optional argument. If you do not include that argument, if the test evaluates to false, then the word false will display in the cell. If the logical test argument consists of a number or a cell reference, you simply type in the number or the cell reference. For example, let's say I have an if function here. I'm testing to see if cell A1 is greater than 7. Notice A1 does not have quotes around it. The greater than sign does not have quotes around it. The 7 does not have quotes around it. If A1 is greater than 7, I'm going to do what comes after the first comma. I will display number is greater than 7. Non-numeric data, so I put it in quotes. Otherwise, I will display number is not greater than 7. If A1 is greater than 7, do what comes after the first comma, else do what comes after the second comma. And I copy this down, and there are your answers. If the logical test contains a non-numeric value, you must surround it in quotes. For example, equals if cell A1 equals the text USA, notice I have it in quotes, then I'm just going to display the word USA. Otherwise, I'm just going to display not USA. Notice the test, if A1 equals USA, do whatever comes after the first comma, which means it will display USA. Otherwise, it will display not USA. And I copy this down, and there are my answers. If the logical test contains a cell reference that has a true or false value in it, you just type in the cell reference as part of the logical test. Here, I'm testing to see if cell A1 is true. If it's true, I'm going to display contains the word true. Otherwise, I'm going to display cell contains the word false. Look at the logical test argument. It's cell A1. The logical test argument always has to evaluate to true or false. Because cell A1 has the word true in it, it does evaluate to true. So if A1, meaning is if A1 is true, display contains the word true. If A1 is not true, you display contains the word false. You can also embed the if function to test for multiple scenarios. For example, if this equals true, do this, comma, else if this equals true, do this, comma, otherwise do this. You can nest the if function up to 64 times in Excel 2013. I will need to use an embedded if to accomplish this task. The first if, I will check to see if the value in cell A1 is less than or equal to 10. If it is less than or equal to 10, I will display the message in D2. Next, I will check to see if the number is greater than 10 and less than or equal to 50. that is true, I will display the message in cell D3. Otherwise, I will display the message in D4. Because I want to copy this formula down, I need to anchor the 2 in the D2 reference, the 3 in the D3 reference, and the 4 in the D4 reference. Let's evaluate the function in cell B1. In this case, the logical test will evaluate to true because cell A1 contains 1. 1 is less than or equal to 10. So if this is true, do what comes after the first comma. Happens to be displaying cell D2. Once you have a true evaluation in your if function, nothing else will be evaluated. Let's take a look at the if function in cell B2. The first logical test, A2 less than or equal to 10, is false because cell A1 contains a 16. After we've evaluated for the value less than or equal to 10, now we are only evaluating for any value that is greater than 10. Our next check, our number needs to be greater than 10 and less than or equal to 50. So this logical test only needs to check for numbers less than or equal to 50 because we have already ruled out 10 and below. If this is true, it will display whatever's in cell D3. Otherwise, it will display whatever's in D4. 16 is less than or equal to 50, so it will display the contents of D3. Now let's evaluate the function in cell B4. First logical test, A4 less than or equal to 10, that is false. It will come to the next logical test. A4 less than or equal to 50, that is false. Therefore, it will display the contents of cell D4.